look back, it would have been after my daughter's kindergarten year, and so now she's in 5th grade, so this is after that. So I think this would be my sixth year of coaching, so it's really my 3rd year of more, I guess, competitive level coaching. It started out with kindergarten and you know, T-ball, and her just wanting to build dirt mounds and actually down on her knees and building mounds, and me being frustrated, and then getting older to where, okay, now we're in the 1st year of competitive ball, and me wanting to teach her things and her not wanting to listen. Recently, we've done a little bit better since I've been the head coach of this team for a couple of years, and I think she's seen sometimes when she's not being coached by me that her skills dip a little bit, and I'm telling her, well, it's because you don't have a coach right now. I mean, all the other girls have a coach, and you don't, because you feel that you don't have to listen to me. And that's something we've worked through, and I think we're getting better at it. You know, I'm very focused on getting girls playing time. I realize as they get a little bit older and things get a little more competitive that needs to change, but I've been very cognizant of that. And so really focused on developing all the girls on the team. The different roles that are played in a softball game really lend themselves to, I think, real life. There's so many different roles to be played that I think it gives you such a broad thing. So it not only gives you how to work as a team, but also to value what you can bring to the team, because everybody brings something different. I think it really teaches them how to depend on one another, and not so much how to depend on one another, but the opposite of that is when people depend on you, you better come through. You better do your part, and you know, if you really start to have that sense of accountability and responsibility to the rest of your team, I mean, that kind of stuff's going to carry you through. From what I've learned, you got to have a lot of confidence. You got to really believe that you can do it. But I don't think the great thing about softball and baseball and those types of things is you don't need to have all that athletic talent in the world. You know, you really need to have confidence. You really need to have drive to work on things. But I think really to make the majority of the good softball players, it's just the kids that love it and want to focus on it and put a lot of time into it. You need to be real careful with giving too much instruction. I mean, because you, as a coach, you just want to teach them everything. You want to give them every piece of advice you can. So if you can be happy with teaching each kid one thing every practice, that's more than plenty, because trust me, there's a lot of practices where those kids unfortunately aren't any better than when they came, and that's going to happen. And so you got to go through. There's bad practices, there's good practices. Practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect, and of course I've also been told, well, you can't have a perfect practice, but you get the point. I won't get too uptight during games. I get uptight at practice because I don't like to waste time at practice. I want to make sure that they're learning, because I said one of my primary things is I want to teach and I want them to develop. If they make mistakes in games, I know they don't want to make mistakes in games. Their parents are watching finally. You know, boys are watching. People are watching. They don't want to make mistakes during games, and I'm not going to get upset with that. And what I'm going to get upset with is they waste time during practices, and then they're going to be like, well, why did I screw up during a game? They need to make that connection. My biggest advice is to, if you're another head coach, and maybe even is to know what you don't know, and I think that's the most important. Is I think, and that's one thing that I do pretty well, is I'm willing to always change and reevaluate where things are at. But there's so many coaches that are part of the reason they coach is because of the control, that they want to coach because they want everybody to think that they know everything and know everything about the sport, and they want to be the one resource, and that they want to drive all that in. And if you don't delegate, you don't realize what you don't know and try to really learn it the right way versus just kind of forcing it, you're going to fail. You know, I think the biggest thing is that just to better understand maybe my own kids as well, is to go through this, to get frustrated with a kid, and to go home and talk to my wife about it, or just think about it, and then think, oh yeah, she's just 10 years old. And to, you know, sometimes you get caught in just everybody's another human being and not really understanding what they're capable of, you know, what kind of mistakes they're capable of making, and what mistakes are okay and what mistakes are not okay. And so I just think it helps me understand people better, to go through this, and to have those experiences with more young children than just my own kids.
Con los terroristas. And do the Harlem Shake.